Thank you, George. Great message. Mr. Patrick Von Dohlen is the chairman of the San Antonio Family Association, and we're very fortunate to have him as a board member of the Texas Leadership Coalition. He is president of the Von Dohlen Kanufke Financial Group in San Antonio and has been actively involved with the Magella Foundation, which offers lifeline services to women in crisis pregnancies. He will be speaking today about the San Antonio City Pre-K initiative. A great individual, a young, eager individual who we're going to see come before us and lead us as well. Please welcome Patrick Von Dohlen.
Don't be afraid. Say it with me. Freedom! These words were spoken by a dying man in a movie, dramatized, a movie called Braveheart. A man dying for a cause of freedom! What does it take to have and preserve freedom? Right now, it takes prudence and fortitude to discern and act. And if we don't begin to exercise these virtues, we will find ourselves dying because those times to peaceably act have surpassed us and passed us by. Prudence, one of the four cardinal virtues, necessitates the acknowledgement that we are at war. For some, it began years ago. For others, it began this past June when the United States Supreme Court said that Obamacare was constitutional. 9 of the brightest minds told us that because it's possible to tax, that we now have Obama tax care. Fortitude is another primary virtue that enables one to carry out a worthy resolution once that decision of making that resolution has surpassed. As you've listened to the speakers today, resolve what you are going to do to help us preserve and take back freedom. As of 25 years ago, last month, September 13th, Pope John Paul II walked exactly where you are today. He said later that day in Westover Hills, "Do not be afraid. Come back to the source of grace. Christ himself is waiting for you. He will heal you, and you will be with God at peace." Peace will not be given to us. We must pray and ask for it. We must cooperate with his plan of salvation and with the divine laws that he has given us. We must work for it. We must cast our nets deep into the sea. What will you resolve to act today? In love and in prudence, I chose to marry a woman named Happy. She's sitting right over there. And to be open to God's work in our marriage. He has blessed us with 8 gifts from heaven so far. They're scattered throughout. Many of you have decided the same sacramental vocation. Some other sharp-dressed men in black, like our good bishop here, Bishop Yanta, have chosen another sacramental vocation. Others of you might have chosen a different vocation. Each of these require freedom. Whatever your vocation, I urge you in fortitude to resolve to live it out worthily of what God has called you to the good, for the good of society, for the good of your family, for the good of your children. We created an organization called San Antonio Family Association last year in the wake of the play called Corpus Christi, which has already been discussed, but portrayed Jesus Christ and his disciples as promiscuous homosexuals. Then in the 2012 budget hearings, right here at City Hall, we had moral relativists, even some that call themselves Catholics, decide with a fewer number of people that are in this plaza, with just a handful of people, to decide to use our tax dollars to promote homosexuality and non-married lifestyles by passing domestic partner benefits. They decided to increase the funding of the Twisted Arts and promote plays called The Vibrator Play and The Little Dog That Laughed, about illicit and unnatural relationships. They decided to increase the funding of unplanned pregnancy services. We have our own Alamo City mandate. Much like the signs you've seen here, Stop HHS mandate, your tax dollars are being used to promote contraception without your approval. We have moral relativists that have decided that the absolutists are the wrong ones, that the ones who are God-fearing, who believe that there are things in life that are above our pay grade, yet they have decided to step on our own freedom. They have decided to infringe and use our tax dollars, most specifically the hotel-motel tax dollars, to promote these types of issues. I'm going to read to you what Pope John Paul II said in 1993 at World Youth Day to the youth of the United States and to the world. He said, "Do not be afraid to go out into the streets and into public places, like the first apostles who preached Christ and the good news of salvation in the squares of cities, towns, and villages. This is no time to be ashamed of the gospel. It is the time to preach it from the rooftops. Do not be afraid to break out of comfortable and routines of modes of living in order to take up the challenging of making Christ known in the modern metropolis. It is you who must go out into the byroads and invite everyone you meet to the banquet which God has prepared for His people. The gospel must not be kept hidden because of fear or indifference. It was never meant to be hidden away in private. It has to be put on a stand so that people may see its light and give praise to our Heavenly Father." So I ask you today, what will you do to help restore our freedoms? And I will tell you that you are doing it today, not only by your endurance, but your fortitude. So thank you for being here. Some issues that you need to know about that are going on right now. There is a war on a culture in Texas. You need to know that George Soros just poured $500 million to the Texas ACLU to change Texan culture. Yes, I said it right. $500 million for the ACLU to battle in the courts to change the Texan culture. We, the United States, are using our tax dollars and even private funding by certain noteworthy, or I should say, less than noteworthy individuals promoting contraception around the world. The Alamo City mandate I mentioned, Healthy Futures Texas, Healthy Families Network, Healthy Futures Alliance are all misnomers. They are through the Metro Health of San Antonio and the County of Bexar to promote unplanned pregnancy services, promote abstinence plus sex education, emphasis on the plus, where they instruct our children on how to use contraceptives, but do not talk about the ramifications of using them. And the last I'll speak of is the pre-K for SA. It is the duty and right of the family to be the primary educators of their family, not the government, especially one in which they have decided that they know what's best and how to teach the family the wrongs of life. Moral relativism that will creep in. And I urge you to vote against the pre-K for SA because it's not for San Antonio. Help the Texas Leadership Coalition by joining as members. You can do so over here at this table, and assuming leadership roles to help people vote their faith, for it is above politics. Help the San Antonio Family Association by joining as members and assuming a leadership role. as SAFA takes on local issues that are destroying our own city and the family. We are involved in public advocacy, a dove hunt to spread the Catholic radio and the good news of Jesus Christ, marriage rallies. We have a marriage rally coming up on the last day of early voting. It will be held at 281 in Bitters on October 26th, Friday. If you've ever stood in front of the abortuary on 104 Babcock, I would encourage you to come stand with us for marriage on October 26th at 281 in Bitters in the southeast corner. The last thing I'll urge you to do is vote morality. Because if you don't, the moral relativists, who even call themselves Catholic, will legislate immorality. Viva Cristo Rey! Viva! Viva Cristo Rey! I bid you all good farewell.